Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly webinar about transitioning to RMR and the essential lessons for executives and business owners. I want to thank you all for your time today. As usual, I know how valuable it is, and I appreciate that each week you spend this 30-minute segment of your day with me. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about leadership. Last week, I think I showed off the new web portal that we have available for our virtual guarding customers and talked a little bit about some of the results we've seen from the surveys that you all filled out and things like that. And in the last week since that particular discussion, I've seen a couple of organizations really starting to make waves and, getting leads, multiple leads in a week, and seeing a lot more buy-in from their organizations. And I thought it might be a good time for us to just talk a little bit about what are these successful companies doing and sharing some of their stories with you guys. So again, today we'll just be talking about your role in the organization as a leader and just some of the things that you should be doing and some of the things that you can't afford to do. So let's go ahead and dive in. So first of all, we're going to talk about the 4 musts in leadership and the 4 cannots in your leadership. And each of these things are very tactical, very basic. Obviously they have to be for our 30-minute segment this morning, but it's just, I think, good reminders of common practices that make or break a lot of these goals that we're trying to go after. And how can you make sure you're doing the things that you should be doing, and how can you identify if you're accidentally doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. So what are the 4 musts of leadership? Obviously this is specific to taking your team to a new goal, which is RMR and managed services. We're not just talking about, general leadership, which is a much more broad topic. But the first thing is communicating your strategy. And I can't tell you how important it is that you have this conversation with every individual in your company. It doesn't need to be a one-on-one conversation. Certainly with your team leaders, it needs to be that one-on-one conversation. But if you haven't taken the time to do a company meeting where you sat everybody down and said, okay, guys, this ship is sailing to a managed services island, and we need everybody on deck. We need everybody ready. You need to know what your role is. You need to know, where we're heading. And it doesn't matter if we hit storms. It doesn't matter, what's going to happen on this trip. We're going to get there. It's just important that they hear it, and they'll take it more seriously if everybody's informed and everybody is on that same boat. Secondly, have you communicated your new strategy to your entire customer base? And this manifests itself in many ways, right? As you've seen, we have our 411 program where we'll do a weekly email and a monthly webinar and a monthly newsletter to your client list. And all of that is included, just being a part of an integrator support dealer. But the key here is that in every conversation, in every introduction, in every way that your customers find you, research you, talk to you, whether it's you individually, your sales team, your customer service, your assistant, whoever they're talking to needs to know that this is your new service offering. This is your new essence of your being. This is what you're there to do, is provide services to your customer base. So is every part of your company that your customer sees communicating your strategy? Does everybody see on your website that you have these services available? Does the literature that you pass out when you go to functions or you sit down at a prospect meeting, does it talk about these services? When you have an elevator speech and you have 30 seconds and you're talking to someone in the dentist's office about what do you do for a living, are you telling them what you do? I mean, this is basic, but as a leader, if you're not doing this stuff, why would your sales team do it? Why would your project managers be thinking this way? Why would anybody else be doing this stuff if you're not making that very conscious effort to communicate your strategy with everyone you come into contact with? Now, thirdly is your team leaders. And I mentioned that, a one-on-one meeting would be appropriate with each of your team leaders. So I don't know how you all break up your teams. Every hierarchy is probably a little bit different. But in some cases, you might have, a project team, where maybe your project manager is your leader. Maybe you have a sales team, and either it's like a senior account executive or it's, a general manager type person that runs your sales department. Your accounting team. Is everybody ready and on board to handle billing on a monthly basis? Does everybody know how purchase orders and how those processes are going to change internally when you guys start generating this revenue? So it's important that you guys really have that strategy communicated to your team and the team leaders. And this is meant to be very reflective. So look in the mirror, and are you doing this stuff? I mean, honestly, look at your website. Does it say anything about a virtual guard? Does it talk about how much money people can save by having a virtual guard instead of having a manned guard or a physical guard? Anticipate your success. This is really critical. Sometimes, we all follow too. We all lead, we've all been led. The question of how effective we are as leaders comes from results. And do we ultimately take people where we're going? Does a boat end up at its destination? Is everybody still on the boat when you get there? And you'd like to think that everybody will be happy about the journey. But just like, when Christopher Columbus sailed the 7 seas, it's hard, right? It's hard. And so it's important that you are constantly anticipating your success. What does that mean? I recently watched a documentary about success. I think it's called The Secret of Success. And if you haven't watched it, or if you haven't, you can, I think, also get like an audio disc about it. But it's basically a series of interviews with different people that have found phenomenal, extraordinary success in different ways, right? Oprah, the guy who wrote the book about chicken soup for the soul, people who have won the lottery 5 and 6 different times. Now, is it luck? Is it destiny? No, there's a common factor. There's a common denominator in every one of their cases, as different as their industries are, as different as their personalities are, as different as what they were working towards. They all envisioned their success. Visualization is so important and very real. It's a very real power that we all have. So in order to become successful, you have to anticipate your success, which means you have to visualize, when I get to that island, what am I going to eat for dinner my first night? What am I going to do with my day when I'm on that island? How am I going to do things differently when I've made it? So as a leader, you have to show everybody that you are expecting to succeed, that you know this boat is sailing in that direction. That is just where we're going. It's a fact. And when you've been able to truly demonstrate optimism and that anticipation of success, people will follow you and people will see it and be able to live it with you. Now, the first thing here is establishing firm goals. That's the part that I think a lot of my dealers tend to get hung up on. Well, I don't want to expect this and this and this and then have everyone get discouraged if we don't make it. Or, we still have things to work out. We're still working on our comp program. We still need to change our whole website, and before we can change our website, we've got to update our CRM system. No, don't get hung up on the journey, the wave, the weather, whatever else that comes between you and your goal. You need to just anticipate it. You need to just say, hey guys, when we reach this goal, this is what we're going to do. This is the commission you're going to earn when you sell this job, this particular job that you are working on today, this project in this pipeline. You're going to go sell them this service. And when you do, you get to take your wife out to dinner. How cool is that? You've got to give very real examples. And that's the thing about visualization that is different from just, thinking good thoughts, right? When you are visualizing your success and you see yourself being successful and you see exactly how I'm going to spend that commission when I've earned it, how am I going to share the stories of that salesperson and what they were able to accomplish in our next team meeting. As a leader, find the specific things that you can envision of what that success means to you and to your company, and how you can convey that success was reached to the rest of the group. Now, obviously, thinking in terms of sales and revenue and things like that, that's kind of why we're all in any business, right, regardless of what business you're in. But think bigger, okay? Think about your customers. Think about the lives you're going to save, the burglaries you're going to prevent. Think about how you're going to help your community in those tangible ways of making a difference. Focus on your drive. Focus on why we're in this business in the first place. And when you can really articulate that vision and you can show people that this is our map, this is where we are, we've already left port, and this is where we're going, you're going to make it. Live according to your vision. Now that you envisioned it, now that you can see it, you've written down what those goals mean to you, what they are going to mean to your team, what it's going to mean to your customer. Now you have to live as if it already is. It's like dress for success or fake it till you make it, right? You embody the traits of who you want to be before you can actually be that person. So similarly, as a leader, you have to live, you have to work, you have to lead like you're already there. Talk about it like you're already there. No, we're a managed services company, okay? Yeah, no, we focus on recurring monthly revenue. We focus on, helping our customers protect their people, protect their property. This is what we do. Bottom line, it doesn't matter what else is going on around you. All you need to do is be that. Be what it means to be successful. Be confident that you guys are getting there. Walk the walk before you know how. And it's hard, but that's part of being a leader. That's how you get to where you want to go. And the last thing that you have to do, the must of leadership, is to challenge the people around you to do the exact same thing. So how do you do that? Well, if you have somebody that says, maybe, no maybes. You say, yes, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to get a signature on that contract today. I am going to do this. And again, if you find anybody, they're having a hard day, a door closed, whatever, it's your job as the leader to remind them that you're still in motion. The ship is still going, and they still need to go draw those sales. They still need to do what they are supposed to do to get you there. because with you as the captain, you're making sure they're there. And either they're doing it and they're a part of the process, or they're going to be one of those people that's tied up to a post on the deck. And you don't want that. They don't want that. So again, start at number 1. Communicate your strategy to your entire company. And then take advantage of what we have to offer. Do our 411 program. Communicate to your entire customer base in every way you communicate to them, in person, in writing, on the web, that this is what you do now. And make sure your team leaders understand and also can envision your success. Be a visionary, which means visualize, see it happen, see what it's going to mean to you, to your company, to your customers, to your staff when you make it. And challenge everybody to paint that same picture. Ask them, how are you going to do this particular meeting? How are you going to convince this guy that this is the right move to make? Challenge them, because if you are able to show them that you're not taking no for an answer, they won't either. The 4 cannots of leadership. So what can you not do as a leader? Number 1, you can't be patient. Now, obviously, there's taking this in context, right? But what I've seen is that a lot of people listen to people underneath them or their peers or their subordinates or whomever, and, we haven't decided which video analytic product we like. We're still waiting, for this to happen. We're still, no. I mean, it's one thing to be patient and understanding in general in a relationship, but when you're trying to steer the ship, do you have time to wait for people to finish their lunch before they go draw the sails? If you're out fishing, do you have time to just wait for them? Oh, we'll get the bait out there. We're just, we're washing the deck right now. We're doing something else. You guys need to have an expressed sense of urgency. You need to show everybody that you expect timely results. And how do you do that? How do you hold people accountable, and how do you not demonstrate too much patience where at that point they think, in a couple months he'll forget. We'll just go back to doing things the way we've always done it. We got to appease him for now, and then in a couple of months everything will go back to the way it was. No. Holding people accountable requires a regular review of their goals, a regular appointment, a regular timing, that every week they've got to show their face in that meeting and talk about what they've achieved or what they've attempted. And obviously effort is the first part. And so you want to be optimistic. You want to be positive. I'm not saying go out and be a lynchman, but you do need to be firm and don't extend deadlines. Don't, have everybody show up. And the first week, they'll probably be jazzed. And yeah, I talked to 5 new people about it. I'm waiting to hear back. And then the second week, maybe they followed up on a couple of them, but they need to follow up on everybody else. And by the 3rd week, you'll be able to sense that people kind of lost sense of their priorities. That's usually what happens. So you need to show them that you are holding them accountable, and you need to have a timely review process on a regular basis. You cannot, as a leader, allow people to find excuses. You cannot let other things determine your journey. As a captain, you can't let the wind changing direction decide that you're not going to get to your destination. No, you change the sails, right? You do something different. And it's your job to identify what are those things that everybody, what are the roadblocks, what are the obstacles or the excuses that everybody seems to be making. And the weak links might not be people, it might be processes, it might be paperwork, it might be other things within the structure of your company that are keeping you from getting where you want to go. So it's important that you not only identify, if there's a weak link, whether it's in your process or in your company's structure, but you have to confront it head on. You have to deal with it. You have to figure out, okay, so this is my issue. We can't seem to agree on this product, or we can't seem to agree on how we're going to price it. Whatever your issue is, figure it out and overcome it, and show everybody that in that process, you're not letting anything get in the way. Again, visualize your success. You cannot waver. As a leader, you've got to stay consistent and be stable. You have got to show them that you're a rock. It doesn't matter what is happening. You're expecting results. And you need to expect that same level of consistency and stability from everybody within your organization. It's challenging, I think this one in particular, because life happens, right? My mom was admitted to the hospital last night. And, there's stuff going on in life, okay? There's always things, whether it's personal, whether it has to do with the business, where, oops, somebody, stole from us, or somebody really botched a job, or whatever. It happens. Stuff always happens. And the one thing that's consistent is you. And so you need to be that rock in those times of instability. You need to be able to overcome that stuff and show everybody that's on your ship, that's on your team, that you are still envisioning the success. That it doesn't matter if something happened, that your picture of where you're going to be and that visual that you have of where you're going is still there and very real. And that in the midst of storms and in the midst of whatever else is going on, that you stay confident, positive, optimistic that, yeah, we're going to go sell something today. We're going to go sell what we want to sell today. We're going to go save somebody a lot of money today. We're going to go show somebody something new that they've never seen. We're going to educate somebody. We're going to inspire somebody. We are still going to do this regardless of what else is going on in our world, in our company, in our life. So with you being consistent, again, just you are the one that's in control. It's not the wind that's in control. It's really not. It's not the water. It's not the food supply. It's not any of the other stuff that we like to think determines the outcome of what we're trying to accomplish. It is us. And that's it. Bottom line, it just comes down to me, to you, and same for your team. And, I think this last point here, really, it works a lot better probably with salespeople, maybe than executives, but if you don't succeed at this, someone else will. There is someone in your backyard ready to sell your customers these solutions. And it is just a matter of time before they beat you to it. And are you going to let them? If they travel the same water you did, if they're doing the same thing, having to change their organization, having to change their processes, having to lead their people, because people aren't perfect, right? No one in our organization is perfect. I am not perfect. You are not perfect. Our providers aren't perfect. The product isn't perfect. But at the end of the day, it's who is able to take whatever they've got, whomever they've got, and make what they want out of it. That's success. And so I believe that you guys that are on this call today are on your way. You're taking the time every week to listen to me blab on about this kind of stuff. And some days, obviously, we get more into the services and the sales and the stuff that really, where the rubber meets the road. But every once in a while, it's important for us to take a look back, take a step back, and evaluate, where are we? What have we done? What haven't we done? And whose fault is that? Or whose glory is that? Who gets the credit, right, when things go right? You know, as a leader, you always take the blame and give the credit. That's just kind of the nature of what we do. And it's hard, but you can do hard. We can all do hard. We've all done hard. I'm sure in any of our past, we have done things that we would have never even thought we were capable of doing. And this is just another one of those things. And in 3 years from now, you're going to look back on this and you're going to think, gosh, I am so glad I found my stride. I'm so glad I took the time to paint my picture of what my vision of success was. I am so glad that I took the time to listen to my team and talk to them about what their concerns were, what their strengths were, and really get them on board with this idea. Because now my company is bigger. Now my company is stronger. Now my company is worth more. And now my customers are happier, safer, and better protected. So envision success. Be a visionary. Don't accept no for an answer. Expect results in a timely way. Find the rabbit holes, find the weaknesses, find whatever it is that keeps tripping people up, and deal with it. Mend it. Fix it. Get those sales back where they need to be, despite whatever else is going on. And you as a leader need to be strong and take charge and show that no matter what, you are in this for the long haul, and you are going to see this company succeed, and anyone who's with you will succeed too. And the same goes for us. And we're here to support you guys. We're here to help. If you would like to talk about things, you know, if you haven't filled out that survey that we sent out, please, please, please go fill that out. It will get the creative juice flowing. It will remind you of the things that you could be doing, and it will talk, you know, ask you some probing questions about where you're at right now. So go fill out that survey. We fixed all those answers so that way the multiple choice things work properly. And we'll work with you, and we'll work with your team, and we'll get you where you want to be. Because we're not taking no for an answer. So if you come with us, you'll succeed. With that, that's the end of our 30 minutes today. Thank you, as always, for your time. Hope that your sales team will be on the call in another 30 minutes. And don't hesitate to call or contact us if you have any questions. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Best of luck.